Hey, ladies and gentlemen, live from London, Car-Boyz! Yes, season greetings, car fans. How are you, Simon? Are you good?
I'm good. I'm feeling very festive now after that.
You are with this music. I feel like Santa on a Harley listening to this. The show on your radio that's all about cars returns once again, and this week we're breaking out the eggnog. We're putting another Yuletide log on the fire, and we're making sure Santa's filled up his fair share of stockings. Who misses? Because it's that Christmas special, we'll be making sure we give you the festive gift of a great podcast. Coming up on the show this week, and for the last time in 2019, we've got a look at some of the year's more dramatic and scary roads from across the planet in our Lost Highways feature. We have a look at unsung motoring hero, a man called Les Dunham, who was behind the ultimate pimp mobile in the 1970s. And we take a look at a classic car from Triumph that your father may have driven in the 1970s. In Me Dad had one of those. We'll also be asking that age-old question: if men are from Mars and women are from Venus, why the hell can't they parallel park? That's women, that is. Sorry, not men.
One of life's mysteries. Yes, of course, it's the radio show that really should have pictures, but we don't have the time and we don't have the budget. It's our roundup of everything motoring that's happened this year, 2019, from Elon Musk and his new truck with its broken windows, and how Brexit will affect the car industry, and which is better, public transport or the car. I think we all know the answer to that one. We have a great quiz this week. It's entitled "Name the Car, Name the Star." Sorry, I can't speak.
You turned into Bruce Forsyth then. Name the car, name the star.
Which vehicles do you associate with a famous face from movies? For example, Sean Connery in a 007 movie as James Bond. The car you would associate with him is, of course, the Aston Martin DB4.
Well done.
Meanwhile, what car would you associate with Terry Scott and June from the British TV sitcom Terry and June? What do you think it is?
I would say it's a baby poo brown British Leyland princess.
It is a princess, awesome princess. Absolute granddad car, that one is. And we'll be taking time out to ponder the rules on the road this holiday season, such as, is it really illegal to slide sideways on ice in a mini roundabout?
Yes.
Yes, but don't remember not to spill your eggnog. I am Simon Sudron, and we wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Oh, St. Nicholas, thank you very much. Although you do look more like Mauritian than Scandinavian. But let's remember, this show is all about inclusivity. I'm Richard Green, and you scumbag, you maggot, you cheap lassie faggot. Happy Christmas, you arse. Pray God it's our last. I am very much looking like Shane McGowan today.
You've got more teeth.
And that's more teeth, and he has it. Tell you that now for free. And I'm drinking some beer. And this is Car-Boyz. Car-Boyz. In fact, I do have a nice bottle of Camden Hell's lager from Camden, North London.
Ooh, nice.
That's my Christmas treat to
Drink of choice.
Drink of choice. Got black coffee as well. I need to stay awake. Okay, so it's Christmas, and I usually go off the deep end like a desperate man reaching the end of his tether in the world, raging against the dying of the light. But this week I'm more relaxed. I'm taking a more retrospective look at the world as we're coming to the end of the year, and I've drunk a great deal of 40% proof Christmas cheer. We had a weird election last week here in the UK, and the outcome was a resounding yes for the Conservative Party. Boris Johnson's swathe of blue was painted across the whole country, with them gaining the best majority in more than 30 years. Now, whilst the rest of the news agenda has moved on to who's going to be who in the cabinet and how he's going to tackle Brexit, here at Car-Boyz, we frankly are more concerned about what he promised car drivers in the manifesto here in the UK. And we're going to hold them to these promises. First off, Tories promised to invest almost 40 billion, 38.8 billion pounds in strategic and local roads. This is needed on Britain's roads desperately, and my Waze app warns me every 100 yards of potholes ahead.
Mm.
There's a promise of $1 billion investment in fast charging network. That's, I guess, for electric cars.
Yeah.
With the aim of everyone within 30 miles of a rapid charging station. And again, in reference to electric charging stations, well, I'll believe that when I see it. Boris Johnson also said they're going to reach net zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2050. Oh, wow. And this means bubkiss, as they might not have been in power by 2023, let alone 2050. And hey, by 2050, we might all be under the rule of the ant people who landed by spaceship from Ursa Minor. So we'll tear that one up. Tories in their net manifesto promised to determine the earliest date for phasing out the sale of new petrol and diesel cars. This, of course, means absolutely nothing. I could consult about taking over the reins of power as the president of the new island state of Bougainville in South Pacific. I mean, I'm never going to be the grand poobah of Bougainville, but I can always consult about becoming totalitarian dictator. Although I think of myself as more an authoritarian leader, more El Presidente than El Comandante. But really, much of this means absolutely nothing and is being tabled or consulted over, but we won't be holding them to that. £40 billion investment on the roads. If that comes to fruition, I'll be very surprised. But maybe, just maybe, my Christmas dreams will come true and I'll have one less pothole to drive over.
They are getting absolutely worse, aren't they?
It might happen. So, you know that. So, if you're listening in the States or Europe, you might not really understand the serious nature of the potholes in the UK. Roads in the States are atrocious. They're really atrocious for the lack of government funding into infrastructures like the highways and the freeways. Over here, the problem we face is frost.
Yeah.
So it's basically you get roads freezing, unfreezing, freezing, unfreezing, freezing, unfreezing, and it cracks the tarmac. And after a while, you get potholes. And the councils have got very clever. You used to be able to sue them, but they got very clever in filling the potholes in quickly if you manage to damage a wheel, which happened to my father not so long ago. He reported it too late, and they said, "Oh, there's no pothole there." The next phone I bought him had a camera on it. Said, take a photo of the pothole, upload it, and send it to the council the same day. If you're listening, that's the advice. To take the photograph. You've sent it to the council. You have a record of when that pothole existed and the damage said pothole has done to your car, and hopefully you can sue them. All this money that was being promised means absolutely jack. It doesn't mean anything. So we'll wait and see. Shall we do some news?
Yeah, go for it.
Hang on a sec.
I've got some Christmassy news.
Yeah, I mean, you might have noticed that this is not the usual theme tune opener to the program, and we thought, well, why don't we actually have some Christmas music? And do you know what I found? A lot of Christmas music is royalty free because it's either traditional folk tunes. What have I got here? Oh, okay, let's try this one. Okay, so this is news coming up. This doesn't sound like news. Yay! News!
It's not very newsy at all.
No. Now, this week, our car news is going to be a roundup of some of the more important news stories we encountered on the show in 2019. So this is throughout the year, and we've done a sort of news covering all the major important events. And I believe it's you to start off.
It is. I also think there's probably only about 20% new content in today's show.
Yeah, exactly.
This week in the news, in the waiting for a taxi news, back in October, if you're listening, way back when we started this show, we reported that local government officials in Bristol, England, were trying to ban diesel cars from coming into the city centre to stop pollution, as well as Los Angeles, which was also proposing a similar scheme. I think Los Angeles were copying Bristol to keep their air cleaner at the airport. Los Angeles International Airport, universally known as LAX or LAX, is the fourth biggest international airport by passenger count in the world. Around 90 million passengers pass through there all the time. As of now, LAX is taking a dramatic step that airport officials insist will cut traffic. Taxis and rideshare vehicles. Do we have many rideshare vehicles here? I don't think we do.
Don't think we do. It's Uber and Lyft.
Yes.
Well, I don't think Lyft doesn't work in the UK.
I don't think it does.
No.
Vehicles like Uber and Lyft will be banned from making curbside passenger pickups. Uber and Lyft, taxi, limo, and private car drop-offs will still be permitted. So drop-offs are good, but pickups no bueno. Instead, a dedicated lane, and we know what it's like in this country where they did a bus lane on the M4, which didn't quite work.
No.
But a lane has been created for shuttle buses on the lower arrivals level. The free shuttle bus will take passengers to a new pickup lot dubbed Laxit. Ooh, or maybe it should be laxative. Here, the taxi or rideshare they booked after picking up the baggage is supposed to be waiting. Laxit will include amenities like food, trucks, and toilets. The shuttles are supposed to arrive every 3 to 5 minutes during peak hours. Airport officials promise the buses will not compete with other airport traffic and will make a minimum of 2 stops before heading to Laxit. Lax staff will be available at each shuttle stop to help with questions or even luggage loading and unloading.
Will that staff be lackadaisical, do you think?
I see what you did there. And if you don't want to wait for a bus, or you'd like to stretch your legs after an 11-hour flight, you're welcome to walk to Laxit. The lot adjacent to Terminal 1 is said to be a 20-minute walk. That's really great to do, isn't it? With all your luggage. Or less from any terminal. It's not really what you want to do. If you come from London, you've been on all that long journey, 11-hour flight with all your baggage, all your cases, it's raining.
Cushion around your neck. Yeah, raining. Which it does not do very often in LA, but it does rain. It has been known to rain.
Yeah.
Update on the Bristol story. Bristol has banned diesel cars from the centre of town.
Oh, okay.
So I think that has to now go to the government, and it could be bounced back by the government. So they've said this is what we want to do. I think they have to get government sign off. So hopefully the Tories will just tell them to get lost. Bristol is a hotbed of mad left wingers that want to do stupid things like this. It has no public transport. It has no public transport. And things like Uber were like a real godsend when you went to Bristol.
Am I right in saying that I think it was Paris where you could only drive your car if it was a diesel on certain days?
Yeah, probably.
It was like
all French cars
days.
are diesel, aren't they? Almost every single Frenchman drives a tractor.
Diesel and wine. It's diesel and wine.
Diesel and wine. This car runs very well. And the footage I've seen out of LAX is insane. So I don't understand why. So you're around the airport. The airport pollution is foul because you've got aviation fuel. I live near the flight path from Heathrow. You can palpably taste aviation fuel in my back garden at time. Yeah, okay.
See, that's heaven for me.
Yeah, I know it's heaven for you, but you're a little saddo. It's a bit of why I'm always why I'm always nursing one every time I see a petrol car goes past, like a proper old one. Ooh, listen to that throaty roar and that smell of unburnt off 4-star. So I don't really understand why they've done it. I don't know. I don't think it's going to make it. I just don't understand. I've seen these massive queues of pissed off people coming into LAX going, why queuing for a bus to take them to where their car will pick them up?
So not only have they been queuing for passport control and clearing customs and everything like that, then
and if you're not an American citizen, you really do have to queue. Then you've got to wait for a bus to take you to where you can be picked up by your driver. Really? Really? But I have the solution. Is what we used to do in Bangkok, and I remember saying it last time on the show. Call your Uber and tell them to go to arrivals. So leave departures. No, sorry, go to departures. Leave arrivals. Walk upstairs to departures.
Yes.
And as the Uber driver comes in, drops one off, press the Uber, bing, and walk straight into the car. Yeah. Thank you very much. We used to do it all the time in Thailand. Oh, look at the queue. There's like 50 people queuing for a taxi. Nope, we go upstairs in Bangkok, go up to departures, wait for a taxi, give him a wave, and he'd go, yeah, because he's not having to do anything. He's not having to queue. Straight into the centre of Bangkok. And talking of Bangkok, they have a shuttle from the airport to almost the centre, to Sukhumvit Soi 3. Sukhumvit Soi Sam. So it takes you all, and then there is a massive line of taxis.
Huh.
So you get off your shuttle, and you can either get on the SkyTrain, or if you've got a hotel on the other side of town, maybe down by the Chao Phraya River, jump in a taxi, off you go.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, some of the European countries I've been to, so I know there's the Arlanda Express in Stockholm. It goes straight from the airport into the city centre. It's relatively cheap as well. If our transport system worked any good, the trains and things like that, it would be it would work. But Los Angeles, not quite sure.
No. I'm just I'm just amazed. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. You've got Madrid. You're like the same. Berlin, I think, has about 5 different ways you can get in the centre of Berlin.
Yeah.
Any of the.
I mean, we did so ourselves, didn't we? When we were in Berlin last year.
We ended up getting. I think we got an Uber from Berlin through to the centre of town when we first got there.
When we went back
on a bus.
Yeah.
A huge bus with space for your bags, and it was really easy, and it stopped in maybe 3 or 4 places, and then took you all the way through to the centre of Berlin.
Yeah,
amazing. There you go. That was that news, and now we had electric pickup news earlier this year. You may remember back in November we covered the launch in Los Angeles of the new Tesla utility vehicle called the Cybertruck. Well, much to our amusement, we saw the footage of its supposed bulletproof glass being shattered by Elon Musk, the owner of Tesla, and not really giving us a reason why you would need bulletproof pickup. Anyway, I don't know why you would need that, but Tesla has stunned the pickup world by unveiling its Cybertruck, the US brand, long anticipated first foray into the popular full-size truck market. Relevant at an event in Los Angeles, California, I should say revealed at an event in Los Angeles, California, separately from the motor show, the all-electric Cybertruck is the same length, 5.87 meters, as a traditional competitors, but that's where the similarities end. For starters, it features a radical wedge-shaped design unlike anything else, which Tesla CEO Elon Musk isn't far from production readiness. The Cybertruck's promised spec is equally stunning. 3 powertrain options offered with 1, 2, or 3 electric motors, and the single motor rear wheel drive is said to do 0 to 60 in 6.5 seconds, which you don't really care about because it's a truck. You don't buy a truck to go fast. You drive a truck for torque. The crowning glory is the top level using Tesla's tri-motor plaid EV powertrain, priced from £53,000. Well, that's a lot. That's a heck of a lot. The towing capacity is 6,350 kilograms, Musk claims. It's said to be made of ultra-hard, 30 times cold-rolled stainless steel, said to be bulletproof, although not rock-proof. Now, he decided to break one of the windows on stage. However, the plan backfired when Tesla's head of design smashed both left and right side windows by throwing a metal ball at them, prompting Musk to quip, "Room for improvement." I can't believe that. It's all that weed he's been smoking on the Joe Rogan show. I like the design. I think it's cool. It's very Mad Maxy. I want one. I'd have one tomorrow. I would, if I was a builder, I wouldn't. I think you need a Hilux, but
it's an odd shape. I think he was looking at a door wedge at the time, and he thought, "Yeah, no, I'll make that into a pickup truck."
Yeah,
it's just wedged. Even the wheel arches are all like done with a protractor and a ruler.
Yes. I just don't. I mean, the latest thing is I think police in the Middle East, in either Qatar or Dubai, have mocked up what they think the thing will look like in their local police colours. So they want them. They want something funky. There you go.
Which is a bit strange because I don't know how much electricity Dubai, considering it's probably oil rich as well, how many electricity stations they'll have.
There you go. I believe we've got some Brexit news.
Yes, Brexit news. In Brexit may have bugged the car industry news. Nissan, Datsun, whatever you want to call them, announced in August that it would close its Sunderland factory. Why, man, if the UK leaves the European Union without a trade deal. Bear in mind, this was in August and we still haven't left, which was according to the Financial Times. The newspaper cited 3 people with knowledge of the matter That must mean they work for them. They weren't just people they found off the streets.
Yes.
Reports a no-deal Brexit could prompt the Japanese firm to stop making the Qashqai. If you didn't know last time to say it, you just have to say cash cow in an Irish accent. Cash coin.
Oh, I like it. Yeah.
The Qashqai SUV at the site, which could ultimately lead to the closure of the plants. In November 2016, Nissan pledged to build the hugely popular Qashqai in the UK after the then chairman, Carlos Ghosn, received assurances from the then Prime Minister, Theresa May. Who's that? That's show business.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
That's the firm that the firm's operations would be protected from the impact of Brexit, but the agreement was reportedly contingent of a soft Brexit and the EU trade deal. Nissan has been in Sunderland since 1986. I can remember when they first moved to Sunderland. There was all these. I think it was the Bluebird, the first car that they made up there in Sunderland, because I remember the TV adverts, which was proudly showing off this big factory.
We need to say, effectively, though, these are assembly plants.
Yes. Parts come in.
In parts. The Japanese are famous for this. Certainly Toyota, certainly Honda, every single Honda that you drive, I think almost globally, every single Honda Jazz is assembled in Rayong in Thailand. Every single one. That's where the Honda Jazz is assembled.
Yeah.
Built in I'm guessing the Honda plant in and the Honda. I think there's a town called Honda in Japan. I pray it doesn't happen. I really, really pray it doesn't happen. But
I think we're on the way down that way, because I think it's Ford as well. They're closing their Bridgend plant in South Wales, where they used to build engines and things like that. I think car production is going to be well and truly messed up with Brexit, if it ever happens.
And it could mean if we're stuck here in the UK, we might be going abroad to buy our cars. I don't suppose you remember, way back in the 1990s, people would go to Holland, buy a right-hand drive car, and import it back into the UK, and that would be cheaper than buying exactly the same car. And this is when we were still part of the EU over here.
Which was, weren't they the grey imports? That's what they're called. They were.
Yeah, I think so. But it was strange because it's a right-hand drive car. I think it was all down to the tax that manufacturers were paying in particular countries. But I do remember a lot of people going across abroad and buying cars in places like Holland. So
yeah.
So, well, fingers not for the northeast. I know that Aston Martin is opening up a new plant in I think it's Wales.
That does ring a bell, yeah.
We covered that. And way back in September, the most famous bastion of legal speed is safe for another day after Germany's parliament said "Nein, danke" to plans to enact a blanket 80-mile-an-hour speed limit on its 8,000 miles of Autobahn. Nearly 80% of the Bundestag, the German parliament, voted against the proposal, which had already been dismissed by the German transport ministers Andres Schier. The plan, introduced by Germany's Green Party, mirrors a proposal from the German Federal Environment Agency in 2006, which suggested a blanket speed ban of 75 miles an hour. Both the 2006 and 2019 plan sought to deal with Germany's transport pollution, which hasn't dropped since 1990. This is despite a target to reduce emissions to 60% of 1990 levels by 2020. And in spite of tightening emissions restrictions since 1992, when Euro 1 legislation mandated catalytic converters and unleaded petrol. Since then, although 5 major revisions and countless smaller updates, the Euro legislation has held manufacturers to increasingly stringent standards. Yet, transport pollution in Germany has increased. Now, the Germans are never going to say, "Ja, das ist gut," to speed restrictions on the Autobahn. This is the reason they make fast cars, although from my memory, many roads outside the Autobahn, certainly around German towns, you've got ring roads that are pretty ropey. And it makes no sense to say yes to this law. The police are already... also, the police are very strict on who can do a ton, who can, say, do 150 miles an hour on the Autobahn. If you were doing it in a 1990 Fiat Panda, you would be pulled over and told to stop doing that.
It's not really built for the 100 miles an hour, is it?
No,
100
but if you're
kilometers.
doing it in an 8-litre Chevy or something, or a new BMW 7 Series, they'll just go, okay, that's fine. Don't worry about that. So, yeah. So there you go. That was a roundup of news in the year. And I think we've got. I'm just trying to find some more Christmas music here.
Don't worry, we'll do more news next year. I'm sure.
Yes, I mean, I think the world will be producing more news. But yeah, I'd like to see. Or I must tell you before we go into our unsung motoring heroes, I did have a very interesting experience going to work a couple of days ago. We have speed cameras on a major highway that goes past me, but they are average speed cameras.
Yes.
So they'll monitor the speed you do in between them. So in between every camera, you've got to keep your speed at a certain level, which I tend to do. But then when I get sort of slowed down a bit, I think, well, who really cares? I'm gonna, open it up here, because back there I was doing 20, and now I'm doing 50.
You have to do the maths.
We had police on bridges with speed guns.
Really?
Yes.
But then the speed gun can only then measure your speed rather than your actual speed rather than your average speed. So they'll get you either way, won't they?
Yes. So you're not allowed to go above that speed, but you're also not allowed to have that to be your average speed. I just looked at it and went, oh, so you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. And because I always I'll go over this bit quite fast because I'm going to sit at traffic lights there for at least 5 minutes. So I might as well speed up to this bit. And I looked up and went, oh, it's a lovely policeman with a gun. Fantastic. We will wait to see in the new year if I receive a lovely fine. Fingers crossed I won't.
You probably won't. It'll be all right. It'll be
Fingers
fine.
Crossed.
Ooh, I hear some jazz music.
Well, yes. It's a piece I recorded earlier on my saxophone. Yes, time for Unsung Motoring Heroes. We did this one earlier in the year. A guy called Les Dunham is a Christmas unsung motoring hero. Now, he's the man behind so many custom designs of the 1970s, which ended up in movies such as Live and Let Die and Superfly. His creations are outlandish and over the top in only the way the 1970s could be. Born in 1941, he was a legendary East Coast customizer from Boonton, New Jersey, and began customizing cars aged 16 years old. In 1957, while he was still at high school, and before he was old enough to have a license of his own, he'd already begun to customize cars. In the beginning, before he opened Dunham Coach, Les worked out of his father's garage. Typical customers in the beginning were rich and upper middle class, wanting Les to nose, deck, or fill trim holes in their car. By the time he got his driving license, he had a fully customized 1949 four-door and a 1951 Ford convertible, which landed him on the cover of Customs Illustrated magazine in '61. The legend was born. After a stint in the army, Les opened up his Dunham Coach shop on the East Coast in '62. Once again settled down and restyled car after car. One car was called Agent 007 after Bond, another the Scorpion, which he designed while still at school. His creations are truly out of this world, and in another life, he really should have been a prototype designer working on concept cars for GM or Ford. He took the design cues from the 1930s Duesenbergs and other hand-built coach bodies like Jarvis of Wimbledon. In fact, whilst the big manufacturers were just using coach brand names like Fleetwood as tokens from an age long gone, he was out there on his own, completely remodeling cars into proper boyhood dreams. Cars you didn't think could exist. By the mid-1960s, customs were dying out, and Les began to customize motorcycles instead. And at the same time, he was also building modified Cadillac Eldorados into a style known as pimp cars. This is where he made his name. The 1971 movie Superfly features one of Les's pimp cars, and now he'd found a new successful path. He became known as the guy who made the Superfly cars. In '73, he put a body of the Cadillac Eldorado on the chassis of a Corvette, and he named his creation the Corravado. The car was later used in the James Bond movie Live and Let Die, and 7 Corvados were built in total. In 1977, he started another project based on Corvette entitled the Cabalista. The Cabalista was a hand-fabricated car. 50 were built between 1977 and 1982. Most of the Cabalistas were exported to the Middle East, and to be honest, it looks like a Corvette Stingray that drove into the back of a Rolls-Royce. During the early 1980s, he came to a halt as fashions changed. He began making fiberglass body parts to transform the look of pickup trucks and big rigs. In 2005, though, he relaunched Dunham Coach and presented the Cabalista number 51 with some modern refinements. Les Dunham planned to relaunch his most successful creation. He's almost 80 years of age. I think it's unlikely he'll be back in the game, but he does. You can expect something truly out of this world. And I can say he's definitely an unsung motoring icon.
Absolutely. And remember, kids, if you're a millennial, you can order a Corvado at Starbucks because that's where they're available.
Yes, extra large Corvado with caramel, please.
They're pimped cars, that's it.
Yes.
To be someone that's actually created a whole genre of cars is very impressive. So yes. Well done, Les.
I think so. Right, I believe we've got a feature that you last heard, I think, way back in July called... Me dad used to have one of those. Hey, I've got Christmas music. All right, that's enough.
There you go. And obviously, if you're in Europe, we're recording this on Christmas Eve here in the UK. But if you're in Europe, you're probably celebrating Christmas now.
They are. Feliz Navidad to everybody in Spain and Portugal.
Absolutely. But now it's time to do an old feature that we did, which we're going to resurrect from the grave like Lazarus. It is. My dad used to have one of those. Now, whether you were born before World War II and have early memories of an Austin 7, or you're a snowflake millennial, second mention of them, and grew up with a chip on your shoulder and the all singing, all dancing people carrier, well, we have all cars that give us fond memories of times gone past, vomiting in the back seat or trying to steal it for the weekend when your parents were away. But some of these cars that transport us to scouts, to school, or just to shops were groundbreaking motors that your dad absolutely loved and sometimes were the envy of your streets. This week, we turn back to the dark days of the early 70s, where I was just merely a thought, when car manufacturing was beginning to be dominated by the UK, by the unions, and had 15 manufacturers all producing the same bleeding car. Austin, I'm British Lane, and I'm looking in your direction.
Yes.
Yes, mainly some version of the Morris somewhere along the world. Then came the gleaming light in the dark ceramic mirrors of Coventry in the Midlands, towards the Midlands, a car that was manufactured that challenged everything one thought about family saloons, a car that would pave the way for the iconic BMW 3 Series and the Audi A4. It wasn't a Teutonic thoroughbred. No, it was a Triumph, namely the Triumph Dolomite. I love that car. This car was one of the first small European sporty saloons ever to be manufactured, and it was a good production run from 1972 to 1980. It was a rakish, sleek car with 4 headlights, beautiful round headlights, and a swept-back roofline. The wheels were alloy, revolutionary at the time, and the engine was racy and good handling and acceleration. Well, that was applicable to that of the Dolomite Sprint that could do 127 miles an hour and had a 0 to 60 time of around 8.7 seconds. In fact, the 1850cc Sprint was the one you wanted, but lesser models of the 1300 and 1500 cc's could certainly beat most of the clapped-out dross that was being driven around the streets of Britain in 1976. The Austin Princess and June, Terry and June, gets their second mention of the day. The car
while listening in America, Terry and June was an awful TV series with a middle-class man and wife. I don't think they had any children. Living somewhere. I think they were supposed to be living in Windsor.
Yes,
they were quite boring, and they got into all sorts of
Terry Scott and the great June Whitfield
Yes.
were the two that started. But yeah, they had an Austin Princess, and the car got such a good reputation. Not the Princess, the Dolomite. It features in the British cop series, The Professionals, which was a bit like Starsky and Hutch over their Ford Gran Torinos. But producers eventually got sick of Triumph's owners, British Leyland, as different coloured cars, which wasn't great for continuity. So they actually switched to the Ford Capri, which they had each week, which was, I think, Bodie had a gold Capri and Doll had a silver one.
Wow.
Both Capri yeses. Had the car been a Triumph only project, we probably would have seen it go from strength to strength. But in 1982, the doors were closing on the manufacturer under the British Leyland banner, and the brand was dead by the mid 1980s. Because if you don't remember, they did a project. Triumph did the Acclaim, which was called.
It was effectively the Honda Accord. It was a good car because effectively it was a Honda Accord. My grandfather had one, thinking it was a Triumph, and I used to go, "It's a Honda Accord, Grandad. It's a Honda Accord."
In gold or brown.
In gold with a different badge, but still a Honda Accord.
Yes, but hey, for one small brief glimpse in time, the British did see the future, and it was a small, sporty saloon.
Yes.
Triumph.
I think it does. The sports saloon, which is now, as we know, sadly dying out because every idiot's got a 4x4. That was one of the first cars to do it in the early 70s. We did have the BMW 2002. You had that car. Audi weren't anywhere to be seen. Mercedes were making boring doctors' cars.
Big cars as well.
Big cars. Volvo weren't doing this. I think they did see that people wanted to get around fast. And Triumph, let's remember, always had a racing pedigree.
Not just cars, but bikes.
Bikes, of course, and they still continue to make some amazing machines. What was the car that you think that your father had that you always remember and were always happy to see him, and when he turned up in it and you didn't make him wait for you around the corner?
My favourite car my dad had was a Mark V, albeit in beige, Ford Cortina.
Oh, okay.
Because I remember until that point, my dad had a green, not Allegro, the Avenger.
Okay, Vauxhall.
And I remember, no, it was Hillman Avenger.
Hillman Avenger, okay, right.
But I can remember badgering my dad, going, "Get a Cortina," and my dad got a Cortina, and that was the car I always wanted. So yeah, it was that was my favourite car my dad had.
My dad had two Dolomites, neither of which I thought.
Really?
Yeah, two. He had a yellow one, mustard yellow.
Oh, did it have a black vinyl roof as well?
Of course it did. It was the 70s.
Yes.
Everything had a black vinyl roof. I remember being sick in the back of it, and I'm not sure whether it was due to the ride or the fact my father was smoking copious amounts of cigars with the windows wound up. Never very good for a 3-year-old child in the back of a Ford of a Dolomite. My favourite car. He had an SRI Sierra, maybe D-Reg, so 1980.
Okay. Yeah.
And that was a beast with a 2-litre engine. I've got a feeling it was red with a factory-fitted body kit. It looked very cool.
Was
very cool car.
Was it the XR4i with the twin?
No, it was the SRI. So it was everything that the 4x4 had, but a 2 engine, not the 2.9, and it didn't have the 4-wheel drive capacity. Later on, my stepfather did have the 4x4, which I think he told me he'd once done 150 in it on the motorway. Brilliant. But I love that car, the Ford Sierra at the time. Great looking car.
Revolutionary car.
Exactly. Right, it's Christmas, so more Christmas music coming up on the show.
Woohoo!
If I can get it to work. Here we go. Stand by your beds. Oh, we were nearly there. Oh, Christmas tree. Oh, Labour Party. Isn't that the Labour Party anthem as well? I think it is. Didn't win the election. You had a socialist who got no votes. He looked like a secondary school teacher specialising in geography. Christmas tree. Oh, Labour Party. You are right, but good. Anyway, right, Lost Highways. This is a feature. I've literally only had one beer. This feature where listeners can email in their favourite roads. And the reason they love it could be the perfect stretch of tarmac with no speed cameras where you can open up the throttle and barrel down the highway. It could alternatively be a quiet country road that leads down to the coast. Whatever it is, let us know your perfect driving road.
So we got an email from Stacey, and she from Surbiton. She says her favourite driving road is the north of Spain from Leon to Avile.
Yes.
I'm going to go with Avile. From Castilla y Leon.
I didn't do this purposely. Give you all these difficult
I think you did.
pronounce.
I'm just going to go with whatever on
Okay.
all the names. I'm going to change them all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
From Leon through Asturias
Yes,
as
that's
a route.
right.
That is not to be missed. Take the A66. That's in Spain, not the A66 in this country. The actual name for the highway changes, so make sure you follow the A66. High into the Cantabrian Mountains, where you get to witness the amazing skill of farmers who grow crops at the side of virtual cliffs.
Nice.
If you are travelling north along this route, be sure to stop once or twice upon crossing into the Asturias and to enjoying the breathtaking views and overlooks. As you near the coast, you'll pass through the Ovidio and then onto the Aviles, a small industrial town. I'm going with it, with the really great beach called the Salinas. Also, the Asturias is the cider capital of Spain. I'm talking the apple juice. They just asked for La Sidra.
I guess, yeah.
I'm guessing.
Por favor.
And a cave age Cabrales
Cabreles.
cheese. Cabreles cheese. I've never had that before. It's amazing. It's almost as if I've turned into Ainsley Harriott.
You have turned into Ainsley Harriott before our eyes. Yeah, this is all the north of Spain, which I've never been to, but it sounds amazing.
Okay.
You've got Asturias and Galicia, and this is very. It's like Brittany. It's very in France. Americans listen to where?
Okay.
So it's very, very Celtic. They play bagpipes up there.
Fantastic.
They've got a flag that looks like the Union Jack, but in different colours. Yeah, it's weird. It's like green and red. And they've got they drink a lot of cider and they eat a lot of that. I've had Cabrales cheese. I've never been to this part, but I have had Cabrales cheese, and it is very, very nice. It's blue cheese.
Got to try some of that.
They stick it into the caves, on the coast, and it as it matures, it soaks up all the minerals that come out of the cave. These caves right on the coast. So you've got the sea, the ozone and everything coming off the sea. And these caves are there. And the cheese soaks up all these minerals. It tastes fantastic. But
sounds good.
Sounds like an interesting drive, and you can guarantee it's going to be very quiet. Meanwhile, back to our home country. Terry 4466 writes to us from Portmatog in North Wales. He's got a core cut of a driving road called the Evo Triangle, named after the performance car magazine Evo, a challenging 20-mile route in North Wales. It's a great place to test cars and drivers. The Evo Triangle is formed by the A5, the A543, and the B4501 roads, and it traverses the edge of Snowdonia, which, if you don't know, is a big mountain range, offers stunning views and great driving with its combination of hills and tight corners. The route starts on the A543, just off the A5. Then you head north along the tight sweeping bends before turning right onto the B4501. Got views of Llynbrennig Lake. The road then leads back to the A5 by the villages of, here we go, Ceredigion Drugion. If you reverse back what I've said, it will say, worship Satan. One note of precaution, the police are aware of the route's appeal, so don't be surprised to see a mobile speed camera.
You know what? I thought I would love to go down that road.
It would be very nice, especially in something like an Evo, a Mitsubishi Evo. That'd be fantastic. Or a Subaru Impreza.
Absolutely. And our final one. Oh, I remember this. This was
this was a classic from about 3 weeks ago. This left. If you just tuned in, you are listening to Car-Boyz, and this is a roundup. It's our annual roundup of what's been the best of motoring in 2019, and it's sort of our Christmas special as well.
Indeed so. And Seb, who could ever forget Seb 2799,
No,
who
yes.
wrote to us from Gay Paris, and he says he loves the show and reckons the best thing, certainly the weirdest driving road, has to be on the Clinton Road in New Jersey.
Hey,
Makes
hey.
me laugh every single time. It's 10 miles of tarmac through the woods located in West Milford, Passaic County. It's said to be the scariest road in America. The place has become infamous due to the strange activity which occurs only at night. This includes satanic cults, KKK gatherings, ghost sightings, and some kind of hellhound.
Oh.
It's their equivalent of the Loch Ness Monster. It's one of the top haunted roads in the world. This deserted and dangerous road, located off Route 23 in West Milford, has no homes along the road, but strangely lots of people, and no connecting roads. Clinton Road is very curvy, just how I like them, and
Nice.
keeps widening around between different bodies of water. It has gained notoriety over the years in the area, rife with many legends of paranormal occurrences. Because of its isolation, though, it is rumoured that professional killers dispose of bodies in the surrounding woods,
Hey,
wrapped up
hey,
in
Bobby.
rugs and things like that. The
Hey.
one recorded case of this occurring near the Clinton Reservoir, you'll find a bridge and a sharp dead man's curve. Legend says if you toss a coin into the water, a boy will toss it back for you.
Great.
It's like the crying boy, but not quite. It's not terrifying at all. People claim they've also seen the boy's reflection in the water. Others claim to have been pelted with coins. So
Hopefully not tossed off by the boy.
yes,
Well, this is great. I love this. What I want to know is, he said that he does write. It's been infamous due to strange activity,
yes,
satanic cults, KKK gatherings, ghostly
yes.
sightings, and a hellhound. Those things don't usually get together. I mean, as reprehensible as the KKK are, I don't think they're going to. Do you know, wherever a hellhound's going to be, that's where we're going to be, along with those satanic cults and ghosts. It's all,
West Milford, Route 23.
yeah. My theory is, in New Jersey, you get a lot of, shall we say, Italian gentlemen that collect revenue.
Bada bing,
Uh,
bada boom.
hey, Bobby. And I'm guessing there's lots of people that pissed them off buried around the area. So, 10 miles of tarmac through the woods sounds like quite cool, though. That's a heck of a long way. I mean, it's not from. I know it's not. If you're listening in America, you go 10 miles isn't anything. That is in the UK to find 10 miles with no property on it is almost impossible. Certainly, like maybe you're going to get that up in Scotland.
Yeah, yeah. Well, if you're in Scotland, write to us.
We'll let us know.
Details.
I will give you all. Yeah, if you want to get in touch with the show, you can get in touch with us. It's email the Car-Boyz at car-boys, boys with a Z at outlook.com. We're on Facebook as well, car-boys with a Z at car4boys, 4 Z's at the end, car-boys at car-boys, 4 Z's at the end. Twitter, car-boys, boys with a Z, at car_boys with a Z. You can get in touch with us. Right to the show. Right. Speaking of which, people have been writing in. First off, this month in December, we had Richie in Coventry wanted to buy a van for work that he could also get 4 people into. An electrician he needs to haul kit around, but also needed it for getting his family places. Any idea, guys? Well, I think we suggested maybe a pickup.
Yeah, something with probably with a double cab on it would also be good.
Hilux. Vans in the UK are quite small, certainly not 4-seaters. VW used to do a 4-seater van. I think they still do.
Yeah.
With a double crew cab on the front, which might be the way to go. Because the thing is, if he's a Sparky, and I think I mentioned this when we looked into this letter back in earlier this month, he is going to need drawers. And lots of drawers with screws and fittings and screwdrivers and fuses and consumer units and all the stuff that you need as a Sparky.
Yeah.
You're going to need a big... So it might be best just to buy a cheap van and then also buy a cheap car to drive the family around.
Yeah.
I've seen some really nice cars recently for absolutely no money.
That's what you kind of need. Something to run around in, isn't it?
Yeah.
Use one as your main work vehicle, and then the
That's
other
right.
one as a cheap little runaround.
That could be the answer.
Yeah. Mikey from Long Island, New York, emailed the show.
We're back in America. Fantastic.
Yeah, he was thinking about buying an Alfa Romeo Giulia 2-litre, 2 years old, very low mileage for $20,000 US dollars. He asked us, should he go for it?
Yeah.
It is a beautiful car, isn't it?
Very nice car.
Absolutely.
I think we said at the time that it's about the same price as it would cost in the UK. It's got versing camera, 8-speed gearbox.
But there's a big but in this.
It's called an Alfa Romeo, and that's the big but.
Alfas they are one of the worst depreciating car brands of all of them. So Alfa, as soon as you drive off the forecourt, it's going to lose money. He is suggesting 2 years old, so someone else has paid for that depreciation.
That's one way to go. Because the thing is, I mean, obviously Alfa now owned by Fiat Chrysler Group. What two brands of motoring excellence and reliability? Fiat, Chrysler, with the added element of Alfa Romeo. So this thing is going to break after a couple of years. But so he's missed out on the 2 years of depreciation.
Yes.
He's now in the sweet spot where he's probably got another 2 years left of warranty on certain parts. So maybe have it for 2 years and then sell it. Have fun. As soon as the big bills start to roll in, buy a Jap car.
Yeah. It's not a long-term solution, is it? As much as beautiful as it is, it's not a long time.
I mean, maybe he's going to sit. It's going to sit in his house. He's not really going to drive it much. He'll sit in his garage.
Yeah, but then even parked on the driveway, it's going to be losing value. It's an Alfa,
and it's going to
weight a bit more. Yeah.
Lucy gets in touch. We're moving north now. We're into Canada, in Toronto. She needed a small 4x4, got a $5,000 budget, Canadian dollars, but she said her street is small and narrow, but she visits clients out in the countryside. Hello. Hence the 4x4. We hope the client... This is
legitimately, obviously.
Yes, legitimate clients. She's not servicing farmers. I hope she's a vet nurse or something like that. We said Fiat Panda 4x4, Subaru's Justy 4x4.
That's right.
Suzuki Jimny, Suzuki SJ4JX, which has got a 2-litre engine. And I found one that's about 4 years old, which was in her budget. So we don't get this car in the UK. It's a big Suzuki. In the UK, we just get the small K car styles.
Yes, we do. Yeah.
This is a big-ish car, but it's got a big engine. I think it's probably they'll still call it a compact in Canada. It's probably the size, a little bit larger than a Fiesta. But that's going to be. It's all-wheel drive, so
bit of grunt to the engine. She can get to wherever she needs to in the countryside. 4x4.
Yeah, it's
good.
Perfect.
There you go.
Should
we do the final one?
Oh yes, let's.
Apparently, it's finally. Guys, we were asked by Emil in Mexico City. Said, love the show, but can you do a feature on Mexican VWs? We still produce some classic cars down here, and I'm on my 4th Beetle. Not Ringo, I don't know which one, but my dad owns a microbus.
Who's left? Maybe it's Paul. Maybe Paul lives with him in Mexico City. Since
don't want to be left with that.
Not George, because he's dead. Is Ringo still? I think Ringo's 80 this year. You know.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And he's got a new album coming out, which will be as shite as his last 20 albums.
Absolutely.
VW Beetle, spelt slightly differently, introduced as a car brand into Mexico in 54. Aspirations to export to the USA, and manufacturing followed in 61. Model was discontinued in Germany in the late 70s, but they continued to manufacture them in Puebla, Mexico until 2004. They are the iconic taxi of Mexico City, the little green and white ones. Brazil continued to make the buses and microvans up to 2012.
I think we said it was because the law had changed in Brazil and Mexico, so they had to have things like catalytic converters and all that sort of stuff, which in the end I think was too costly, and that's why they don't make them there anymore.
I'm not sure whether they're making other types of VW in Mexico at all. I was in Mexico last year, 2018. So I can just say that at the moment. And everything was Japanese. Japanese. Loads and loads of Nissans. Just Japanese. Nothing else.
I'm guessing easy to import?
Unless they've got assembly plants in Mexico.
Ooh.
That could be what they've got. Lots of Japanese cars. I didn't see any. I saw no El Caminos. I saw no old. I was expecting low riders and really old cars.
Yeah.
Almost everything was small, compact Japanese cars.
Ah, interesting.
Lots of Mitsubishis, lots of Nissans. Very, very strange.
I'm guessing that in South America they like small vehicles, because I know, because I used to have one. The Mark One Ford Ka was produced. They had a different version in South America as well. It's slightly different.
And of course, the VW Fox is made
Polo?
in
Is that Polo?
Brazil. Yeah, it's called the Fox, I think.
Yeah.
The Fox was the poor man's Polo. The Polo in Europe is called the Fox. This is where it gets confusing. There was also the Fox in the UK, and I think both of that was made in South America.
So they must like the small vehicles then.
Yeah,
I've never been to South America. So
well, I went to Central America. I think Mexico actually classed as, but yeah. Right, we got the big quiz. Do you know what? Because it's you.
Yes.
And I know you. I think we should have the quiz music, because you really this is your play. This is like a guilty pleasure, isn't it? And now I've got to find it. So I've now got to find where.
If we had some bells, we could make it Christmassy.
Oh yeah,
just having bells.
A bit like is it "I Want to Be Your Dog" by the Stooges?
Yes, just having some bells.
Has jingle bells all the way through it. No, I can't. Oh, here we go. Are you ready?
Yes.
Here's your game show music. Yes. Welcome, one and all. I'm your host on tonight's quiz that has it all. Glamorous ladies, an exotic location, and world-class prizes. This week, our lucky winner could walk off with an entire online series of the UK's #1 radio car show, Car-Boyz, online, completely free. I'm your host, Richard Green, and unlike former host of Blockbusters, I love black people. Many TV series and famous movies have been made through the years where the star of the feature is almost outshone by the car he or she drives. I think the car Steve McQueen drives in Bullet is almost as famous as the movie. Yeah. Certainly better than the movie. I also asked you what car he drove in the film, and you'll instinctively know that it was a fastback Mustang from 1968. Joining us this week, young man from Enfield in North London, Simon Sujiwan. And lovely that you could join us on the show, Simon. And I know you're looking forward, and hopefully you're going to walk off with some great prizes. And I know the audience, when I finally get them fired up, thank you, yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Welcome to the show, Simon. There you go. There's enough. Shut up, then. Shut up, audience. There you go. Are you ready for the quiz?
I am. I'm looking forward to getting the checkbook and pen.
Oh, it'll be something exciting like that we're giving away, I promise you now. First off, Patrick McGoohan in The Prisoner.
Oh, yes.
What was the car?
Patrick McGoohan in Prisoner. If I'm not mistaken, now I have to get this right. If it's an original, I'm guessing it's the Lotus 7.
You are correct.
Yes.
The opening titles of the film, and nowhere else in the TV series, just the opening titles.
Really?
Patrick McGoohan, just the opening titles, drove the Lotus 7. He drives it to the Prime Minister's office, hands in his resignation as one of the senior spies in the UK, or so we assume. Smoke comes from under the door when he gets back to his funky apartment, say on Portobello Road, and he wakes up in... Where does he wake up? Somewhere in Wales, isn't it?
Yes. Port Talbot?
Nobody wants to wake up in Port Talbot. Jesus Christ, that's the Steelworks. Port Merion. Good God. If you woke up in Port Talbot, you thought, what the hell have I done? The smell of sulphur. Good God, man. Yeah, they really hated him. Well, they've sent him down here.
And he'll give up his company car,
Yeah,
his
exactly.
caterer.
And he has to work at Port Talbot in the steelworks. Moving on. Tony Curtis in the Persuaders.
Yeah. Oh.
Curtis driving the Persuaders.
Oh, so it is because, of course, Brett Sinclair had the Aston Martin. His was, if I'm not mistaken, Ferrari Dino.
It was correct. Ferrari Dino. Well done, lad. Moving over back to America, an American TV show now. Bo and Lou Duke.
Oh,
what did they drive?
In the Dukes of Hazzard, it was. Now I've got to get this right. Dodge Charger.
Yay! I used to think it was a Gran Torino, but
that was
Charger.
That was another program.
Yeah. Okay, Barry Newman in Vanishing Point. I don't know the name of the role that Barry Newman played in Vanishing Point. I don't think it ever has a name. What?
It was American, wasn't it?
It's an American film, 1971.
It was. I'm going to go with some kind of Chrysler. A
Dodge Challenger R2. Sorry about that. Mr. Bean.
Yes.
How does Rowan Atkinson drive in Mr. Bean?
He drives a lovely bogey green Mini.
You are correct. Moving on. Down to Australia, for any Australian listeners, we've got everybody's favourite American Australian, Mel Gibson in Mad Max.
Oh. It was. I'm tempted. No, it wasn't. I was going to say it was a Land Rover Defender, but it wasn't.
He's in Australia.
It's probably some kind of Holden.
No, you fool! You mad Ford Interceptor.
Oh, okay.
Falcon.
Okay.
There's the Holden Commodore and the Ford Falcon are the two big cars, but no, it was a Ford Interceptor. So never mind. Okay. Michael Knight, Road Warrior in the TV series
with the guy that does Kit, which was he in like Boy Meets World or something like that? He was the teacher.
Mr. Feeney in Boy Meets World. Yes, Michael, have you done your homework yet? Knight Raider, Michael Knight, a lone warrior. What was the car?
I know it was deviating slightly, but that program was so far ahead of his time. He used to talk to his car through his watch, which was like an Apple Watch these days. And if we're in an era of automated vehicles, Kit could drive himself.
Yeah, I think Kit had far too much personality.
Yeah.
If I got into a Tesla and it started going, "Sell, Michael," shut up. Just drive the bloody car.
And he had bulletproof windows as well. So yes, it is.
Yeah, didn't he have the control was it was like a plane
half
control.
A steering wheel.
Yeah, it was like that's going to be great for doing a U-turn in Sainsbury's car park. Parallel parking's a bloody nightmare with this thing. So what was the car? What was the car? Go on.
It was a black Pontiac Trans Am.
Firebird, well done. Okay, we're now moving over to cartoons from the 1970s. And Scooby-Doo and Shaggy's Mystery Machine. What was the car?
It
was the car that Shaggy was in. Come on, Scoob.
It was the Mystery Mobile, wasn't it?
Scoob. Yes, it was the Mystery Machine. The Mystery Machine.
It was like a camper van. It was like a
VW
camper van.
I think I'm going to struggle. No, it was a GMC handy van. GMC handy van. Okay, we've got an American actor, Richard Bradford, but it's a British TV series, A Man in a Suitcase. I think it was Lou Grade production for ATV.
Man in a Suitcase, which in this country, if you didn't know, there's a British radio presenter called Chris Evans ripped off the music for his TV program.
Oh, he did. Yes.
Man in a Suitcase. I can't remember. I don't remember his car.
You are a little bit too young, and I only saw the reruns. Hillman Imp Lotus Special.
Ooh, nice.
Very nice car. Moving on. Oh well, this should be all right. Roger Moore in The Saint.
Oh, he had a beautiful He had a beautiful white Volvo
Yes.
P1800.
Yes, well done.
Yes.
Another ATV TV series by Lou Grade. Oh, and Roger Moore in The Persuaders.
It was an Aston Martin, but let me try and work out what one it was. It was Aston Martin Lagonda, possibly. No,
I'm going to give it you, but it's the DBS. The DBS is probably it's the most American looking.
Yes.
And I think it's one of the most prettiest Aston Martins of all time, the DBS. I'm going to give you that one.
Okay.
Roger Moore as 007 in The Spy Who Loved Me.
Spy Who Loved Me. Oh, I was talking about this today. It was either...
Right, hang on. I'll give you a clue. I'm going to give you a clue. Hang on a second. Hang on. This is what he sounded like when he was driving it.
It was it's either one of three cars. It was either a Beetle, but I don't think it was. I think it was Citroen 2CV.
No, you damn fool! The Spy Who Loved Me was a Lotus Esprit.
The one underwater.
Version. Yes, that's what I was trying to do with the water there.
I tried to. Which one did he have a 2CV in it? I know he had a 2CV.
The next question for your eyes only.
Would it be a 2CV?
Now, when I went to school, somebody's mum had the 2CV from For Your Eyes Only, like a limited edition, not the one, but it was a limited edition released by Citroen, and it had fake bullet holes down the side.
Fantastic.
It was amazing. We were like, wow, crap car. But it's still a James Bond car, and a James Bond car is a James Bond car.
Yeah.
What about everybody's favourite Irish Bond, Pierce Brosnan in 007 and GoldenEye?
Oh, now this is the one.
This is his first one he did.
Is this not the one where he's in the back controlling it by his phone? Wasn't it a BMW 7 Series?
Z3.
Oh,
it's the girliest car Bond's ever had.
Oh yes, the Z3.
I think that I'd prefer to be caught in the yellow 2CV that Moore drives. Right, let's go on to America now. Uma Thurman, the bride in Kill Bill.
Oh.
Any idea?
I can remember it vaguely, but I'm going to pass on it. I don't know that one.
Yellow Chevy Silverado, a.k.a. Pussy Wagon. We'll wind this up in a minute. Denzel Washington in Training Day.
Training Day. No, I'm thinking of the wrong film. I'm thinking of one where...
think of a town on the French Riviera.
Monte Carlo, No.
Chevy Monte Carlo, 1979.
Okay.
Bryan Cranston, Heisenberg, his SUV and AMC's TV series Breaking Bad.
It's I know it's isn't it an orange thing?
It is a Pontiac Aztek.
Of course, an awful car.
Finally, you've got to get this. Fleagle Bingo, Drooper and Snorky, the banana splits. La 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 la.
Was it not a mini moke?
It was an Amphicat water and land vehicle made out of Michigan, 6-wheel drive car.
Yes. The banana splits.
Oh, you've done the banana splits. Fantastic. I think we need to go out and review one of those AmphiCats. They look absolutely fantastic. So well done. So you got round about out of sort of 15 questions. You've got around about 10 right. So the crowd are with you. You're bendy bullies saying you're going home with the speedboat and the cameraman, because don't forget it is Christmas after all, and you're going home with the caravan as well. You can go on with the caravan. That's about it from us here at Car-Boyz. You can email the show carboys@outlook.com. Carboys@outlook.com. We will endeavour to answer your questions, be they car related or not. Facebook, we are car-boys at Car-Boyz with 4 Z's at the end. Car-Boys at Car-Boyz 4 Z's at the end. Always Z's. Car-Boys at car_boys is the address on Twitter. We wish you and yours a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year from both the boys at Car-Boyz. We hope you'll get everything you deserve from Father Christmas. Anything to say? Anything? Any resolutions for the new year?
No, I look forward to bringing you more electric vehicle news. That's
Oh, no, we're not going to do that. Give me more petrol, more V8s. Go away and drink some eggnog, and we'll catch you in 2020. Goodbye. Say bye, son.
Goodbye.